The next section, we're going to talk about the paradiddle rudiments, which is lessons 5, 7, and 14. I'm going to talk about all the paradiddle rudiments at once in this section, but you should still play the lessons in sequence as you're going through the book. Lesson 5, the backing tracks for lesson 5, we use samba music from Brazil. And in samba music, we use this snare drum. It's marching, this is a marching snare in Brazil. It's called a malacacheta, or caixa, which is actually a smaller drum. And there's a few things that are different. Number one, you notice that the snares are on the top, and this is the correct way to play it, is actually play on this head with the snares. And their grips are a little different than ours, if you may have noticed that as well. And just so you know, there's different ways to play different drums and different styles. So don't think that there's a right and a wrong way. There's some better ways, not so good ways to play certain things, but there's definitely different ways to hit a drum. All right, so first we're going to talk about single paradiddles. And you want to play single paradiddles fast? Let me show you how to play single paradiddles fast. All right, here we go. All right, so you may say, Dr. Throwdown, that was not fast. But what I'm telling you is in order to play fast, you have to play slow correctly. And to work on speed, you work on basic fundamentals and get your fundamentals down. And if you have them down, you will play faster. And you will play longer, you'll play louder. So work on that. So what I'm telling you is the second note of that paradiddle is an upstroke, and that's the important note to make it nice and fluid as we get faster. Up, up. All right, so if we break the paradiddle down, we have a controlled stroke, upstroke, and then 2 taps. Controlled stroke, upstroke, tap, tap. Controlled, up, tap, tap. All right, so as I play faster, that allows me to play faster. And notice I'm not real tight, it's very relaxed. And it's because of that technique I'm able to play fast. This also applies to double paradiddles, triple paradiddles, and paradiddle-diddles, which you're going to get in lessons 7 and 14. All right, but I'm going to demonstrate exercise number 1 in lesson 5 right now, playing single paradiddles. And the first 2 bars is basically a paradiddle without the last 2 taps. Then I add the next 2 taps. All right, so let's try that with a track. We're going to play this exercise at tempo 3. All right, if you're having difficulty playing to the track, if the track is actually confusing you, you can just listen to the snare drum. The snare drum is in your left ear, and the band, or the music, is in the right ear. So if you're on a stereo, you can pan over to the left and just listen to the snare and get that down. And then eventually add the music in, and then maybe even take out the snare drum, so you are the snare drummer. Our rudiments are a list of patterns that are the basics of drumming. Now we can take these patterns and manipulate them in different ways. So don't just take paradiddles and play them on the downbeat. We can move the accent around, we can change the sticking up to move the diddle around, all sorts of different ways. We can play it in different time signatures, in 3 against 4, which we're going to do a little bit now. So if you take a look at exercise number 4, there's several different stickings you can use. It's still a basic paradiddle, but we're going to change it up a little. With exercise number 5, we're in 12/8, so it's a triple meter. Now a paradiddle is a duple rudiment, but we're going to put this in a triple meter. It's really not that difficult. It sounds difficult, but we're going to make it easy. So once again, I'm going to demonstrate exercise number 5 at tempo 3, and then you start it out on tempo 1, but listen to it. Get it down, and then play with the track. All right, we're going to talk about double paradiddles and paradiddle-diddles. This is lesson number 7, and I'm going to discuss exercise number 2. Now in exercise number 2, you can notice that some of the accents are in parentheses. That means you can play them or not play them. They're optional. Well, with a double paradiddle, it's basically the same thing as a paradiddle with an extra right-left in there. Double paradiddle, double paradiddle. All right, and the paradiddle-diddle, paradiddle-diddle, paradiddle-diddle. Those do not alternate. They're going to stay starting with the right, or if you start with the left, it's going to stay on the left. So I'm going to play exercise number 2 at tempo 3. I'm going to start without the accents in parentheses, and then I'm going to add them in. Here we go, exercise number 2. All right, now I'm going to play the Etude in lesson 7. But I do want to reiterate that it's very important to start with the slow tempos. I'm going to play this on a little bit faster tempo. I'm going to play it at tempo 5. But in order to play fast, it's so important that you play correctly slowly. It's time for more cowbell. I'm going to play the Etude in lesson 7 at tempo 5. Of course, double paradiddles, paradiddle-diddles. By playing the right hand on the cowbell, left hand on the snare drum, we get a nice 6/8 groove. And notice that the accents are going to change around a little bit. We're going to play the paradiddle-diddle in 6-tuplet form as well as 16th notes. So be creative how you use these rudiments. This is just to give you an idea. Take it further. All right, here we go. Lesson 7, Etude.